Hello there, and welcome to the Boring Universe channel. Take a slow breath in and let it drift out gently. Tonight, you don't need to understand anything, remember anything, or reach anywhere. You are simply looking up. This story is about constellations, not as maps or myths to memorize, but as quiet companions that have watched the night for longer than memory itself. When you look up at the night sky, the stars do not hurry. They have never needed to. Long before cities, before names, before stories, humans notice something gentle above them. Certain stars return to the same places again and again, night after night, century after century. Patterns slowly revealed themselves, not because the stars move together, but because the human mind loves to connect distant points with meaning. Constellations are not real shapes in space. The stars within them are often separated by unimaginable distances. Some are close, some are far, some may no longer even exist as they once were. Yet, from Earth, they appear calm and connected, as if the universe itself paused to draw pictures just for those who look up. One star might be tens of light years away, another might be thousands. Their light meets your eyes only because time has patiently carried it here. You're not seeing stars as they are. You're seeing stars as they were long ago, when their light began its journey. Constellations, then, are not drawings in the sky. They are alignments of time. Night after night, the earth turns slowly beneath them. The stars seem to rise and set, but they are almost still. It is we who are moving, carried quietly by a spinning planet, floating through space without sensation or sound. Some constellations never leave the sky. They circle endlessly around the same invisible point, always present, never setting, never resting. Ancient watchers relied on these stars to know direction, but also to know comfort, proof that something remained unchanged. Other constellations appear only in certain seasons. They arrive gently, linger for months, then fade away again. Not gone, just waiting, elsewhere in the sky, patiently returning next year as they always have. For thousands of years, people told stories about these patterns. Hunters, animals, gods, rivers of light. But the stars themselves remain untouched by the stories. They do not know the names given to them. They shine the same whether anyone watches or not. A constellation does not care if it is recognized. Its calm comes from distance, from age, from silence. Some of the stars you see tonight were born before Earth existed. They burned long before oceans formed, before mountains rose. Their light traveled across empty space while life slowly learned to breathe. And now, for a brief moment, that ancient light rests in your eyes. The sky feels vast because it is, but it also feels gentle, because nothing up there is urgent. Stars do not compete, they do not rush, they simply continue. As you lie beneath constellations, your thoughts can slow to match them. There is no deadline written in the stars, no pressure in their patterns, only repetition, patience, and quiet continuity. You don't need to follow the lines between stars. You don't need to remember their names. Just let them be scattered points of calm light, reminding you that the universe has always known how to exist without effort. The constellations will still be there after you sleep. They will still be there tomorrow. And long after this moment fades, they will continue their silent watching, unchanged, unbothered, and endlessly calm. Take another slow breath. Let your eyes rest on the darkness between the stars. That space is not empty. It is simply quiet. The stars above you feel permanent, but even they are moving, not quickly, not noticeably, but always. If you could remain still for thousands of years, lying in the same place, watching the same patch of sky, you would notice something subtle and extraordinary. The constellations would begin to stretch. Their shapes would soften, drift, and slowly become unfamiliar. This change is not the stars wandering randomly. It is the quiet result of motion layered upon motion. Earth itself gently wobbles as it spins. Like a sleeping top that never quite settles, its axis traces a slow circle through space. This movement is so gradual that it takes nearly 26,000 years to complete a single turn. Because of this, the sky your ancestors saw is not exactly the sky you see now. And the sky far in the future will belong to constellations that do not yet exist. Some stars slowly drift apart from one another. Others move closer together. Their immense journeys unfold at speeds that feel frozen to us, yet over long ages, entire patterns are rewritten. A constellation is not eternal, it is temporary. A momentary agreement between stars and the perspective of a moving planet. There were constellations in the distant past that no human ever named, shapes that existed long before memory, that shone for tens of thousands of years, then quietly dissolved as stars continued on their paths. And there will be new constellations in the far future, patterns we will never see, stories never told, skies that belong to other minds, or none at all. The universe does not preserve its artwork, it allows it to drift. This is part of what makes the night sky so calming. Nothing is trying to stay the same. Change happens without resistance, without urgency. Even now, as you rest, the stars are moving a little farther from where they were before. Not enough to matter tonight. Not enough to disturb your sleep. The light reaching you has already traveled its distance. It does not rush to catch up with change. It simply arrives. Some of the stars that shape familiar constellations are already nearing the ends of their lives. Some have grown larger and cooler. Some have burned steadily for millions of years. Some may have already faded, their final light still quietly crossing space. Constellations do not react to loss. If a star disappears, the pattern loosens, then adapts, then becomes something else. Nothing in the sky grieves, nothing clings. And yet, for a while, the shapes remain recognizable, stable enough for generations to look up and feel the same sense of orientation and calm. This is the gift of slowness, change that happens gently enough to feel like stillness. As your thoughts drift, you can imagine time moving the way the stars do, without noise, without effort, without stress. There is no need to keep up, no need to stay fixed. The sky teaches this quietly every night. You're allowed to change slowly too. The constellations above are proof that even vast things do not hurry. They evolve without anxiety. They shift without concern. Let that idea settle with you. Let the stars keep their distance while your mind grows lighter. In the next part, we will drift into the constellations themselves, not their myths, but how different cultures in different places looked at the same sky and found different calm within it. For now, just stay here a moment longer beneath a sky that has never needed to rush. The stars above you have never belonged to one story. They have always belonged to everyone who looked up. Long before telescopes, before charts and coordinates, people in different parts of the world lay beneath the same sky and saw different shapes resting there. The stars did not change. The human gaze did. In wide deserts where the horizon feels endless, constellations became guides, calm markers in a sea of darkness. They help travelers move without haste, following patterns that never spoke, yet never lied. Near oceans, the night sky reflected on moving water. Sailors learned the stars as companions, fixed points above a shifting world. When waves erased all sense of direction, constellations restored it quietly. In forests, where branches framed only small windows of sky, people noticed different things. Not the largest shapes, but smaller clusters that appeared between leaves. Stars became moments rather than maps. In the southern half of the world, entire constellations exist that many will never see. Shapes that never rise above northern horizons. To those beneath them, these stars feel familiar and grounding, just as unseen constellations feel distant and imagined to others. The sky does not favor one place over another. It simply offers different views. Some cultures connected stars into animals, others into tools, paths, or gentle symbols. Some saw rivers of light. Others saw emptiness, spaces between stars holding as much meaning as the stars themselves. None of these interpretations are more correct than the others. The universe does not confirm them. It does not deny them. Constellations are agreements between minds and darkness. They exist because someone noticed and someone remembered. Even now, if you choose, you could create your own constellation, a quiet line between stars that means something only to you. The sky would not resist. It would remain unchanged, patiently holding your idea for a while. This is part of the comfort of looking up. There is no test, no wrong answer. The same stars that once guided migrations, marked seasons, and measured years now simply glow while you rest. They do not ask to be understood. They do not demand attention. They wait. As Earth turns, your view of them shifts slowly, like pages turning in a book that never ends. Each night reveals a slightly different arrangement, yet always familiar enough to feel safe. Constellations remind you that meaning can be gentle, that understanding does not have to be complete, that beauty does not require explanation. You can let the sky be what it is, light scattered across deep time, and still feel comforted by it. In the next part, we will drift even farther back to a time before constellations had names, when the sky was simply a field of light and silence. For now, rest with the thought that countless eyes, across countless centuries, have paused exactly as you are now, looking up, finding calm, and letting the stars do nothing at all. There was a time when the night sky had no names at all, no lines drawn between stars, no figures imagined in light, only darkness, and points of brightness scattered gently across it. Early humans looked up without expectation. They did not search for patterns, they simply noticed. The sky was darker then than we can easily imagine now. No city lights softened the night. No glow hovered at the horizon. When the sun disappeared, the universe revealed itself fully. Stars felt closer, not because they were nearer, but because nothing distracted from them. People lay on cool ground or stood still after long days of movement, and the sky became a quiet ceiling that never lowered. It did not press down. It opened outward. In those nights, constellations had not yet formed. There were no heroes in the stars, no animals running across the dark, just light and space and time passing slowly. The stars were not guides yet. They were companions. They watched silently as fires dimmed, as breath slowed, as sleep came naturally without clocks or schedules. The human mind had not yet begun connecting the dots. It was still learning how to rest. When patterns finally emerged, they did so gently, not as science, not as myth, but as comfort. Seeing the same stars night after night created familiarity. Familiarity softened fear, and from that softness, stories eventually grew. But before stories, there was stillness. The stars did not rush humans to understand them. They waited. Some of those ancient stars are still shining now, their light unchanged in purpose, their presence just as quiet. Others have already faded. Their light finished its long journey long ago, yet the sky remained full. The universe never depends on any single star. It adjusts without drama. Thinking of that early sky can slow your thoughts. A time when nothing needed meaning, when existence alone was enough. As you rest now, you are closer to those nights than you might think. The same darkness surrounds you. The same stars continue their patient shining. You don't need to interpret them. You don't need to remember anything. Just let the idea settle. That for most of human history, looking at the sky was not about understanding the universe, but about feeling less alone beneath it. In the next part, we will drift into how constellations quietly became calendars, marking seasons without urgency, measuring time without pressure. For now, stay here a little longer, in a sky before names, where light existed simply to be seen. At some point, without urgency, people noticed that the sky did not stay the same all year. Certain stars returned in the same seasons. Others disappeared for long stretches of time. The night sky began to breathe in a slow, repeating rhythm. Constellations became quiet signals, not shouted instructions, but gentle reminders. When a familiar pattern rose just after sunset, it meant warmth was approaching. When another faded into the dawn, it meant colder nights were on their way. The stars did not command action, they suggested it. There were no dates written in stone, no numbers counting down. Time was felt, not measured. Farmers learned to plant by the stars, not by force, but by trust. When a certain group of stars appeared low in the east, seeds met soil. When another climbed high overhead, harvest followed. This was not precision, it was patience. The sky did not hurry crops to grow. It did not punish mistakes. It simply repeated itself, slow enough for learning to happen naturally. For those who traveled, the stars marked nights rather than hours. Distance was measured by how many sunsets passed, how many times the same constellations returned. Time felt wide then, elastic, uncrowded. Even sleep followed the stars. Darkness arrived fully. Bodies rested when the sky dimmed. Awakening came gently with the return of light. Constellations became part of the body's memory. People felt the year turning long before they could explain it. Today, time presses close. It divides itself into minutes and seconds. But the stars still keep their ancient rhythm. They rise when they always have. They set without concern. They mark time the way they always did, by returning. You don't need to follow them. You don't need to count anything. Just knowing that above you, time still moves at the pace of seasons can loosen the tightness of modern hours. Somewhere beyond clocks and schedules, the sky continues its slow cycle. One constellation leaving, another arriving, each taking its turn without overlap or stress. As you rest now, you're allowed to step back into that wider time, the kind that doesn't rush you forward. In the next part, we will drift into the quiet geometry of constellations, why the human mind finds shapes in scattered light, and why that instinct itself is calming. For now, let the stars keep time for you. They have always known how. When you look at the night sky, your eyes receive points of light, nothing more. But your mind does something gentle and automatic. It begins to connect them. This is not a mistake. It is not imagination running wild. It is one of the oldest, calmest habits of the human brain. The mind is a pattern seeker. It looks for order, not because it must, but because order feels safe. Long ago, recognizing patterns meant survival. Tracks in sand, shapes in shadows, rhythms in seasons. The brain learned to link scattered details into something whole. When that same instinct meets the stars, it does not switch off. It softens. A triangle of light becomes a shape. A curve becomes a figure. A handful of stars becomes something familiar, something that can be remembered without effort. The stars themselves do not form the pattern. The pattern forms gently inside you. This is why constellations feel calming rather than confusing. They turn vastness into something approachable. Not smaller, just kinder. The sky is overwhelmingly large. But when the mind draws invisible lines, it creates islands of familiarity in an ocean of dark. This does not trap the universe. It does not reduce it. It simply gives the mind a place to rest. Think of how calming it is to recognize a face in a crowd, or a familiar road after a long journey. Constellations work the same way. They are not instructions. They are reassurance. The brain releases tension when it recognizes a shape. Heart rate slows. Breathing steadies. Attention becomes gentle rather than sharp. You are not searching the sky. You are settling into it. This is why even people who know the stars are distant, unrelated, and separated by unimaginable space still feel comfort when they see familiar constellations. Knowledge does not cancel calm. It deepens it. Your mind knows the truth, that these stars are far apart, that the lines are imagined, that the figures are human inventions. And still, it connects them anyway. Because the purpose of constellations was never accuracy. It was orientation, not just in space, but inside yourself. When the mind finds structure, it relaxes its grip. It no longer scans urgently. It no longer asks, "What next?" It simply observes. This is why staring at the night sky often leads to silence inside. Thoughts slow not because you force them to, but because they are no longer needed. The stars do not change quickly. Your mind senses this stability and mirrors it. Nothing in the sky is reacting to you. Nothing demands response. Constellations exist in a space where nothing is required. Even the act of naming them long ago was not about control. It was about familiarity. A named thing feels less distant, less unknown, less sharp. But even without names, the brain still finds calm in connection. You could look at a completely unfamiliar sky, stars you've never seen, patterns never taught, and still feel the same easing sensation. Because the mind does not need the correct pattern, it needs a pattern. One shape is enough, one line, one triangle of light. And once that shape exists, the mind rests beside it. This is why people can lie under the stars for hours without boredom. The mind is gently occupied without being strained. It is doing what it evolved to do, but at the slowest possible pace. Even now, as you rest with these words, your thoughts may be drifting, connecting ideas loosely, forming soft constellations of their own. That is not distraction. That is relaxation. The universe does not demand clarity from you. It does not ask you to understand its size. It does not test your memory. It simply allows your mind to trace lines if it wants to, or let them fade if it doesn't. You can stop connecting at any moment. The stars will not disappear. They do not depend on your attention. And that may be the most calming truth of all. In the next part, we will drift into the stars themselves, how each one in a constellation lives its own long, quiet life, unaware of the shapes we draw between them. For now, let your thoughts form whatever patterns they wish, or none at all. Even when stars appear connected, they are, in truth, solitary. A constellation looks like a gathering, but it is an illusion created by distance and perspective. Each star exists on its own long path, moving through space without awareness of the others. They do not see their neighbors. They do not align themselves into shapes. They simply burn. Some stars shine softly, their light steady and patient. Others pulse gently, brightening and dimming like slow breaths. Some glow blue and hot, others warm and golden, others deep red, nearing the quiet end of their lives. When you look at a constellation, you are seeing many different ages at once. One star may be young, only recently ignited, its light fresh and energetic. Another may be ancient, swollen and tired, slowly releasing the last of its stored fuel. Another may already be gone, its final light still traveling toward you across centuries. The constellation does not reveal this. It hides complexity beneath simplicity. This too is calming. You do not need to know the life story of each star to feel comfort beneath them. You do not need to understand their physics to rest in their presence. Each star follows rules older than memory. Gravity balances pressure, light pushes outward, time unfolds slowly without decision. A star does not choose to shine. It does not struggle to continue. It simply exists as long as it can, then changes into something else. Some stars will expand and shed their outer layers, creating glowing shells that drift away into space. Some will fade quietly into dense remnants, cooling over unimaginable spans of time. Some will end in brilliant flashes, brief moments of intensity followed by silence. None of these endings are rushed. None are dramatic from the star's own perspective. Change happens without fear when time stretches this wide. Constellations do not mark these changes. They preserve a snapshot, a temporary arrangement of light that feels stable only because our lives are brief. The stars do not hurry to stay visible. They do not cling to their patterns. They allow themselves to drift, to age, to fade. There is something deeply reassuring in that. You are not required to remain fixed either. You are allowed to change slowly. You are allowed to grow dimmer, then brighter, then rest. Each star in the sky exists without comparison. None measures itself against another. None competes for attention. They shine because shining is what happens when conditions allow. And when conditions change, they respond without resistance. As you lie beneath them, you're not beneath a single image, but beneath billions of individual stories, unfolding at speeds too slow to cause urgency. Nothing above you is impatient. Nothing above you is late. The universe does not keep score. It does not notice delays. It does not expect outcomes. Stars burn, stars fade, space remains. Constellations give the impression of unity, but beneath that illusion is independence, each light minding its own quiet existence. And perhaps that is why the sky feels so spacious, so forgiving. There is room for difference, room for distance, room for silence. You do not have to align with anyone else. You do not have to form a shape. You are allowed to exist on your own gentle trajectory. The stars have been doing exactly that since long before anyone noticed them. In the next part, we will drift into how constellations slowly dissolve, how even the most familiar shapes are only temporary pauses in an ever-moving sky. For now, rest with the thought that Nothing above you is asking anything at all. Constellations feel permanent only because human lives are brief. If you could remain beneath the same sky for tens of thousands of years, if your body did not age, if your memory stretched as far as time itself, you would notice something gentle and irreversible. The constellations would begin to loosen, not suddenly, not dramatically, but softly, like threads slipping through relaxed fingers. Stars are always moving, not together, not with intention. Each follows its own quiet path through the galaxy, guided by gravity, momentum, and time. The shapes we recognize tonight exist only because of where Earth happens to be right now. A small turning world, pausing at just the right angle, at just the right moment. That moment does not last forever. Over centuries, the change is almost impossible to see. A star shifts by a fraction of a degree. Nothing looks different enough to matter. Over thousands of years, the familiar lines stretch. Angles soften, distances widen or shrink. A shoulder slips out of place. A line no longer feels straight. The figure becomes uncertain. And over tens of thousands of years, the constellation quietly stops being itself. No announcement is made. No ending is declared. The stars simply stop forming that shape from this particular point in space. There is something profoundly calming about that. Nothing is preserved by force. Nothing struggles to remain recognizable. The universe does not archive its past. It allows it to dissolve. The constellations of our distant ancestors are already different from ours. Some stars have moved enough that ancient descriptions no longer quite fit, and the constellations you know now will not exist as they do forever. This is not loss, it is release. The sky does not collapse when a pattern fades. It becomes open again. New alignments appear, new shapes form briefly, waiting for new eyes to notice them. There will be skies where familiar figures no longer exist, and yet the night will feel just as full, perhaps fuller, because the comfort of the stars was never in the pattern itself. It was in the steadiness of change. Nothing rushes its ending, nothing is erased. The light still arrives. The darkness still holds it. You're living in a temporary sky, one version of many. That does not make it fragile. It makes it gentle. The thought that even the stars do not cling to identity can soften the way you think about your own. You do not need to remain the same forever. You do not need to preserve every version of yourself. Change does not mean disappearance. It means rearrangement. Stars drift, and still the night remains beautiful. Patterns fade, and still the sky is full. Nothing essential is lost. Even when a star eventually exhausts its fuel, its material does not vanish. It becomes part of something else. Dust, gas, future stars, future worlds. Endings in the universe are always transformations stretched across time. So slow, they barely feel like endings at all. As you rest now, you can imagine the sky long after this moment, long after these constellations soften and let go. The universe will still be calm, still vast, still patient. There is no final image the sky must hold, no version that must be preserved. It changes because change is natural, not because anything went wrong. You are allowed that same softness. In the next part, we will drift into the idea of direction, how constellations once helped humans know where they were, and how, even now, they quietly remind us that orientation does not require urgency. For now, let the stars loosen their shapes. Let your thoughts do the same. Nothing needs to stay fixed for rest to arrive. For a long time, the stars were the only compass. There were no signs carved into land, no glowing screens, no voices counting down the next turn, only darkness, distance, and the quiet presence of light above. People learned that certain stars stayed close to one place in the sky. Others traced wide arcs night after night. By watching patiently, direction revealed itself, not sharply, but gently. North was not an arrow, it was a feeling, a familiar point that did not rush away, a steady reference in a moving world. When travelers walked beneath the stars, they did not stare constantly upward. They glanced, remembered, and continued. The sky did not demand attention every second. Constellations became soft anchors, not rigid instructions, but reassurances that the world still made sense. You could walk for hours, then look up and feel oriented again, not because you were told where to go, but because you recognized where you were. This kind of direction did not create urgency. It created calm. There was time to stop, time to rest, time to wait for clouds to pass. If the sky disappeared, movement paused naturally. Nothing forced progress. The stars taught patience long before patience had a name. Even now, in a world filled with constant guidance, the idea of stellar navigation feels soothing, not because you plan to follow it, but because it reminds you that orientation does not require speed. Knowing where you are does not mean you must immediately go somewhere else. Constellations never pulled anyone forward. They simply stayed where they were. They allowed people to move at the pace their bodies could sustain. There is something deeply restful in that. Direction without pressure. Guidance without command. The stars did not care if you arrived tonight or tomorrow. They did not measure success. They simply continued shining, making it possible to reorient whenever needed. You could get lost and still not feel panicked, because the sky remained unchanged. Even mistakes felt temporary. This is a different relationship with space than the one most people experience now. Space was not something to conquer or optimize. It was something to move through slowly with trust. Constellations did not shorten journeys. They made them bearable. They broke the unknown into calm segments, from one familiar sky to the next. You did not need to see the entire path. You only needed to recognize a few stars. That is enough. Even in a modern sense, this idea still works. You do not need to see your whole future to feel oriented. You do not need every answer. Sometimes, one familiar point is enough to steady you. One constant, one quiet certainty. The stars offer that without asking for anything in return. They do not promise arrival. They promise continuity. As you rest now, you can imagine direction not as movement, but as awareness. You are already somewhere. You do not need to go anywhere else tonight. The sky above you knows this. It has watched countless travelers pause, lie down, and let the night hold them. In the next part, we will drift into the silence between stars, the dark spaces that constellations outline but never fill, and why that darkness is just as important as the light itself. For now, let the idea of direction soften. You are not lost. You are simply still. When you look at a constellation, your eyes are naturally drawn to the light, points, patterns, connections. But most of what you are seeing is not light at all. It is darkness. The spaces between the stars are not empty in a dramatic way. They are not voids shouting their absence. They are quiet stretches of space, holding distance gently, allowing each star to exist without crowding the next. This darkness is not a background, it is the setting. Without it, stars would blur together, their individual presence would be lost, the sky would become noisy, overwhelming, restless. Instead, the universe leaves room, vast room. Between every star you see, there are trillions upon trillions of kilometers where nothing rushes, nothing glows, nothing calls for attention. This is not wasted space. It is intentional calm. The darkness gives the light meaning, but it also offers something more subtle: permission to rest. Your eyes do not have to track every point. Your mind does not have to fill every gap. The sky is mostly stillness. When ancient people first looked up, they did not only see stars, they saw the dark shapes formed by their absence. In some cultures, constellations were not drawn by connecting stars, but by outlining the darkness between them. Animals, rivers, paths, not made of light, but of shadow. This way of seeing did not focus on what was present, but on what was quietly holding everything apart. It is a softer perspective. Instead of asking, "What is there?" it asks, "What is allowing this to be?" The darkness between stars is what lets the sky breathe. It is the pause between notes, the silence between waves, the stillness between thoughts. Without it, there would be no rhythm. Even now, as your thoughts slow, you may notice the spaces between them growing wider, moments where nothing needs to happen, where no image forms, where awareness exists without content. That mental darkness is not emptiness, it is rest. The universe models this perfectly. Stars burn for millions or billions of years, but they are separated by unimaginable quiet. Their light travels across silence so deep that even time seems to stretch inside it. When a photon leaves a star, it does not rush through crowded lanes. It glides through darkness, undisturbed, unnoticed, until it reaches an eye or a surface long after its origin is forgotten. That journey is mostly nothingness, and that nothingness is not hostile. It does not erase the light, it carries it. The dark between stars is what makes it possible for light to arrive gently. If space were crowded, light would collide, scatter, blur. Instead, it travels cleanly, patiently, as if the universe itself steps aside to let it pass. You can think of the darkness as kindness on a cosmic scale. It does not demand attention. It does not interrupt. It allows. This is why staring into a star-filled sky often quiets the mind more than focusing on a single object. The darkness invites your awareness to spread out, to soften its edges, to stop clinging to details. You're not meant to analyze it. You're meant to sink into it. There is no danger in that darkness, no urgency hiding there. It has been present since before the first stars formed, and it will remain long after the last ones fade. Darkness is not the absence of life. It is the condition that makes gentle existence possible. Even constellations rely on darkness. Their lines are imaginary, but their spaces are real. When you trace a shape in the sky, you are outlining a region of quiet. You are acknowledging distance, not erasing it. This perspective changes how the sky feels. Instead of being crowded with meaning, it becomes open. Instead of pressing down with scale, it opens outward with calm. You are not small beneath it. You are held within it. The darkness does not compete with the stars. It completes them. In the same way, your pauses complete your actions. Your silence completes your words. Your rest completes your effort. Nothing needs to be filled. There is no requirement to glow constantly. No need to shine every moment. Stars shine because they must. Darkness rests because it can, and together they create balance. As you lie here now, you do not need to think of stars at all. You can let your attention drift into the spaces between ideas, the gaps between breaths, the moments where nothing is happening. Those moments are not empty. They are where calm gathers. The universe does not fear its own darkness. It trusts it. It allows most of itself to be quiet so that what does shine does not overwhelm. You are allowed that same ratio, more stillness than effort, more rest than action, more quiet than noise. In the next part, we will drift toward the horizon, where constellations meet Earth, where sky and ground touch gently, and where humans have always felt the deepest sense of belonging. For now, stay with the darkness. It is not asking anything from you. There is a quiet place where the constellations feel closest, not overhead, not scattered across the vast dome above, but low at the edge of the world, near the horizon. This is where sky and earth meet without colliding, where neither claims dominance, where distance softens into belonging. When stars hover near the horizon, they seem slower, heavier, as if they are resting too. Their light travels through more atmosphere here, gently dimmed, slightly warmed, as though the earth itself is holding it before letting it reach your eyes. This is not distortion, it is intimacy. For as long as humans have looked up, this edge of the sky has felt special. It is where journeys begin and end, where people orient themselves not upward into abstraction, but outward into the world. A constellation rising feels like arrival. One setting feels like release. Nothing disappears suddenly. Stars lean into the earth and fade slowly, as if saying goodbye without urgency. When ancient people gathered at night, fires at their backs, dark land stretching ahead, this was the part of the sky they watched most closely, not for precision, for reassurance. The horizon stars told them that the world continued beyond the firelight. That darkness did not mean absence, that the sky was still there, touching the land gently. Even now, when you see stars resting on mountains, on oceans, on distant fields, something inside you settles. The universe feels less abstract here, less overwhelming. It is no longer an endless above. It is a companion beside. This is where constellations feel like stories again, not myths or lessons, but quiet presences sharing the same space. The sky does not press down on the earth. It meets it softly, and you exist exactly at that meeting point. You are not beneath the universe. You are within its boundary. The stars above the horizon do not judge scale. They do not remind you of size. They remind you of continuity. Land changes slowly. Stars change slowly. You are allowed to rest between them. When constellations rise, they do not rush upward. They slide into view at the pace of the turning earth. And when they set, they do not fall. They lean away and leave the night open. This rhythm has repeated for every human who has ever watched the sky. Across deserts, across shorelines, across plains and forests. Different stars, same feeling, a sense that the universe is not distant and cold, but present and patient. The horizon reminds you that the sky is not separate from your life. It shares the same night air, the same quiet. You breathe beneath stars that have watched countless others breathe before you, and they will continue watching long after this moment passes. There is no pressure in that thought, only calm. In the next part, we will drift into the idea of return, how the same constellations come back again and again, and why repetition, not novelty, is what truly comforts the human mind. For now, let your attention rest where the stars meet the earth. That is where stillness feels most complete. One of the quietest comforts the sky offers is that it comes back. Not all at once, not suddenly, but faithfully. The same constellations return year after year, century after century, sliding back into their familiar places as if nothing important has changed, even though everything has. Empires rose and faded, languages shifted, cities appeared and dissolved. Yet the stars kept their slow appointments with the night. This repetition is not boredom, it is reassurance. The human mind finds deep calm in things that return without being summoned. No effort required, no reminder needed. The stars do not check if anyone is watching. They return anyway. A constellation that vanished into the daylight months ago slowly makes its way back into the evening sky. At first, just a hint, a single familiar star near dawn, then more, until the shape feels whole again. This gradual return mirrors something ancient inside you, a rhythm older than plans or schedules. You do not need novelty to feel alive. You need continuity. The sky understands this. Nothing up there tries to surprise you. Nothing seeks attention. The stars repeat themselves because repetition is stabilizing. It tells the body that the world is still working, that the rules have not suddenly changed, that rest is safe. Even when individual stars age, even when patterns slowly shift over thousands of years, the cycle itself remains. Night follows day, darkness follows light, stars follow seasons. This predictability does not trap you, it frees you. You are not required to monitor everything. You are allowed to trust that some things will simply continue. When ancient people recognized returning constellations, they did not feel trapped in a loop. They felt held. The sky remembered itself, so they didn't have to. And even now, with all the noise and motion of modern life, that same comfort remains available. You can step outside, or imagine stepping outside, and know that the sky is doing exactly what it has always done. There is no update required, no new version to learn. The stars return quietly, without asking for gratitude. This is why watching the night sky often makes worries feel smaller. Your concerns may feel urgent, but the universe is not in a hurry. It has seen countless moments like this one, moments of uncertainty, of change, of waiting, and through all of them, it kept returning to itself. Constellations do not promise permanence, they promise recurrence. They say, this has happened before, and it will happen again. That message settles deep in the nervous system. You are not navigating something entirely new. You are moving through a pattern that has held countless lives before yours. Even sleep follows this logic. You fall asleep, you wake, you fall asleep again. Night returns, morning returns. The body knows this rhythm well. The sky reflects it back to you. Stars disappear each morning without drama. They return each night without celebration. They do not cling to presence. They do not resist absence. They trust the cycle. You can too. As you rest now, you do not need to hold on to this moment. You do not need to make it last. Another calm moment will come. Another night. Another sky. The universe is generous with repetition. In the next part, we will drift into the future sky, not in a dramatic way, but in the soft sense of how constellations will look to minds that do not yet exist. For now, let the idea of return settle in you. Nothing important is lost. It always comes back. The night sky, you know, is not the final version. It is one moment in a long, unhurried sequence. Far in the future, Long after the present feels distant and quiet, someone or something may look up and see a sky that feels familiar, yet subtly changed. Not dramatically, not all at once, but gently. Stars will still rise. Darkness will still arrive. Light will still travel patiently across space. But the shapes will be different. Constellations that feel permanent to you will slowly loosen their lines. A shoulder will drift. A curve will soften. A familiar balance will tilt just enough to feel new. No single night will announce the change. No moment will mark the transition. The sky will simply continue doing what it has always done, moving slowly enough that no one needs to worry. Future observers may not recognize the patterns you know. They will not miss them. They will form their own. A new triangle of light may catch their attention. A curve you never noticed may become important. They will draw lines where it feels natural, not knowing that other lines once existed there. And that will be enough. The sky does not preserve memory for the sake of the past. It makes space for new ways of seeing. Some stars visible tonight will no longer be there. Not gone suddenly, but gently transformed. Their light will fade, their material will spread, their presence will become quieter. Other stars, currently dim or unnoticed, will move into prominence. They will take their turn without asking permission. Nothing is wasted. Even when a star's visible life ends, its substance continues, becoming part of new stars, new systems, new light. The future sky will not feel empty. It will feel full in a different way. There is comfort in knowing that the universe does not depend on any one arrangement. Beauty is not fragile here. It adapts. Future skies will still offer stillness, still offer patterns, still offer darkness where minds can rest. The calm you feel beneath the stars is not tied to specific constellations. It is tied to the pace of the universe itself. Slow, predictable, unconcerned with urgency. Whatever eyes look up in the future will feel that same easing sensation, that sense that nothing needs to be solved tonight. The sky will not ask them to understand its history. It will simply be there. You are part of that continuity. Your moment beneath this version of the sky is brief, but it is complete. You are not missing the future by being here now. You are participating in one of its many quiet frames. The stars above you tonight have already seen countless futures unfold. They have shone through changes far greater than anything you can imagine. And they remained calm through all of it. That calm is not owned by any era. It is always available. As you rest now, you can imagine future nights just as quiet as this one. Different stars, same stillness, different patterns, same darkness holding them gently apart. The universe does not rush toward what comes next. It allows the next moment to arrive when it's ready. You are allowed to do the same. In the next part, we will drift inward, away from time and future and distance, and return to the simple act of lying beneath the sky, doing nothing at all. For now, let the future remain soft and distant. Nothing there requires your attention tonight. There is a moment when looking at the sky stops being an activity. You're no longer observing, no longer naming, no longer connecting. You're simply there. Your body rests against the earth, supported without effort. The ground does not ask you to hold yourself up. It already knows how. Above you, the stars continue without noticing your presence. This is not indifference. It is freedom. Nothing in the sky expects anything from you. You do not need to understand it. You do not need to respond to it. You do not need to remember it. You can let your eyes soften, not focused, not searching, just open. The constellations remain, but they lose importance. Their lines fade, their names loosen. What remains is sensation. Cool air moving slowly, a steady rhythm of breath, the feeling of being held between a quiet ground and a quiet sky. This is where rest deepens. The mind, relieved of tasks, begins to slow its inner voice. Thoughts stretch out, leaving space between them. Not silence forced into place, but silence arriving naturally, like nightfall. Nothing needs solving here, nothing needs improving. The universe is not waiting for your next decision. Stars do not rush because you are awake. They do not pause because you are tired. They simply continue. This is why doing nothing beneath the stars does not feel empty. It feels complete. You are participating without contributing, present without producing. This is a rare state, and it is deeply human. Long before productivity, before measurement, before goals, people rested this way, looking up, letting time pass, allowing the night to be enough. Your nervous system remembers this. Even if your thoughts resist at first, your body recognizes the permission. You are allowed to stop trying. The sky will not collapse. The stars will not dim. Everything important continues without your involvement. You can release control not because you are giving up, but because control is unnecessary here. There is nothing to manage in a universe that has been unfolding for billions of years without instruction. Your role tonight is simple: exist, breathe, rest. The constellations do not guide you now. They accompany you. They are not maps. They are presence. You do not have to follow any path. You do not have to move. Stillness is not stagnation. It is alignment with a slower rhythm. As minutes pass, they stop feeling counted. They stretch. They soften. Time loses its edges. The sky does not mark progress in minutes. It marks it in slow returns, in gentle shifts, in cycles that never hurry. By doing nothing, you align with that pace. You are not behind. You are not early. You are exactly here. If sleep arrives, it arrives naturally. If it doesn't, that is fine too. The stars are patient companions for both states. They have watched countless beings drift into rest, wake again, and drift once more. There is no expectation that this moment should lead anywhere. It is enough that it exists. Your thoughts may fade into images, then into nothing at all. That is not losing awareness. That is returning it to a quieter place. Even your sense of self can soften here. You're not a role, not a name, not a story. You are a body resting beneath light that left its source long ago, arriving now without urgency. The universe has done all the work required for this moment. You do not need to add anything. In the final part, we will gently close this journey, not with an ending, but with a feeling of warmth, quiet, and being safely held in the dark. For now, stay here. Doing nothing is exactly right.